Dun 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 dun. 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 GX. 15 minutes. Wow. 3x. It have to have x in it. Mm-hmm. 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 Which part? Mm-hmm. F of x is mapped onto 2 bracket 3x minus 1. Find f inverse 2, f inverse 3. F of x is mapped onto 2x minus 5. G of x is mapped onto 3x plus 1. H of x is mapped onto 4x. Find fg2, find gf2, find fgh minus 1, find hgf minus 1, find f inverse g. Where your paper? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What? Mm-hmm. Which grade? You're in 10? It is at 9? Okay. So I'll make it just start come. Oh, all right. How many people see the videos that are put in the group? Are you in the group? Make sure I'm being added to the group. How many people are watching the videos that are put in the group? Okay. All right, ready? All right. First of all, I need you to come every week. Come now, I'm going to teach over last week. Every week we don't have the time for that. Function of x, 3x minus 1. Remember we're telling about the y and x relationship. What's y and x relationship? What's y and x relationship? Y is dependent on x, right? Now, y is dependent on x. It could be niece, it could be daughter, it could be wife, could be different things, but it's dependent. Therefore, to understand y is dependent on x, then is a different level that must be defined, the level of dependence, right? So, therefore, my wife depends on me much less than some other wife depend on their husbands. Everybody understand that? So there's a level of dependence. Some people wife richer than them, like mine, and some people wife depend on them. So I depend on my wife. But the point I'm making is that this defines the type of dependence. It could be 2x, it could be 5x, it could be 2 to the 3x minus 1. It is dependent in this type of way. So that means that x defines y. Everybody understand that? Now, if x defines y, then in this case, if x defines y to the magnitude 2, 3x minus 1, then it means that the function of x is equal to y. Y is the function of x. Are you understanding? Can x be the function of x? No, because that would mean that x defines x. X defines y. Are you understanding that? So this term, the function of x, is mapped onto 2, 3x plus 1. It's simply saying that y is equal to 2 bracket 3x minus 1. Everybody see that? Because what they're really telling you is that if there is this here, the domain is x and the range is y, and it's mapped onto it in this way that make 1 equal 5, 2 equal 9, and 3 equal 15. And therefore, it is this. Therefore, when you do a graph, you would get 1 dash 5, that's xy, and then you get 2.9, that's xy, and then you'll get 3.15, that's xy. Everybody understand that so far? Yes? So if they simply ask you to find f minus 2, they're saying when x is minus 2, what is y? Are you understanding that? So in this case, let's say y equal to 2 bracket 3 bracket minus 2 minus 1 end bracket. Everybody see that? So it would be equal to 2 bracket 3 times minus 2 minus 6 minus 1. So it will be equal to 2 bracket minus 7. It will be equal to minus 14. So when x is minus 2, y is minus 14. Everybody see that? If you were going to put that on a graph, you'd have say minus 2 comma minus 14. You see that? Everybody see that? All right. But they did not ask you for if x is minus 2. They asked you if f inverse is minus 2. So now you have to find the inverse. The inverse starts with understanding what we start with. Y equal to 2 bracket 3x minus 1. You can always simplify this. You can simplify this to say y equal to 6x minus 1. Sorry, minus 2. Everything in the bracket have to get what is outside the bracket. So 2 times 3x is 6x, and 2 times minus 1 give minus 2. Everybody see that? All right. Now the inverse means turn it upside down, flip it. Is going to then tell you that everywhere you see y, you put what? And everywhere you see x, you put what? All right. So the inverse, you flip it. Look at this. 2 over 1 inverse. What that is equal to 1 over 2. Everybody see that? You know how you know say you flip it? How do you know say you flip it? Because the inverse is 1 over 2 over 1, which is equal to 1 divided by 2 over 1, which is 1 over 1, which is equal to 1 over 1 times 1 over 2, which is equal to 1 over 2. Everybody see that? Everybody see that? Good. That means that the inverse of 2 is equal to what? What's the inverse of 2 equal to? Is equal to a half. Because 2 is actually 2 over 1. You just don't write that. Are you understanding? So therefore, if it's 2 over 1 is 1 over 2 over 1, which gives you 1 divided by 2 over 1. Which gives you 1 times 1 over 1 times 1 over 2, which gives you half. Everybody see that? And therefore, what's the inverse of half? Because it's 1 over 1 over 2, which gives you 1 divided by 1 over 2, 1 over 1, which gives me 1 over 1 times 2 over 1, which gives me 2 over 1 equal 2. Everybody see that? Good. Yo, the marker I have now work with me because I have to kill out myself about this, you know. I can buy some better marker. Ready now? Inverse of x over y. Correct. So the inverse is to flip. So in the case of functions, what you're really flipping is where x is and where y is. Everybody see that? So therefore, this was y equals 6x minus 2. So now x equals 6y minus 2. Everybody see that? Now you're going to now transpose, or what you call solve for y. So we'll solve for y. When you solve for something, always try to get it over to the next side, over to the front side. It's easier so. Are you understanding that? So we just carry the whole thing. If x equals 6y minus 2, then 6y minus 2 equals x. You see that? Therefore, if 6y minus 2 equals x, that means that 6y equal to x plus 2, because you have to get rid of the 2. Because 2 have the least relationship with y. Out of the 6 and the 2, which one have the least relationship with y? So therefore, you have to now get out of 2 first. How do you get rid of 2? You carry it over the other side as the opposite function. Are you seeing that? So this minus 2 come over here as a. All right, good. So now we have that. Now 6y have a relationship. What's the relationship? So therefore, how you get rid of it? So that means x plus 2 over 6. So now that means f inverse x equal to x plus 2 over 6. You see that? They now say find f inverse minus 2. So that means f inverse minus 2. What do you realize between this and this? The minus 2 replace the x. See, f inverse x. Now this is f inverse minus 2. Are you understanding that? Good. So that means that this only defines the relationship. This is now telling you the value of x. So since you now know the value of x, you're going to put it into this. Equal to minus 2 plus 2 over 6. Equal to 0 over 6. I think that equal to 0. 0 divided by 6. Everybody see that? They ask you secondly to find f inverse 3. What's the difference between this and this? 3 instead of minus 2. What's the difference between this and this? Therefore, since this defines the function, f3 is equal to, anyway, say x, I put 3 plus 2 over 6 equal to 5 over 6. Everybody see that? You understand that? You understand that? No? All right. You see that? Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. Fx equal 2x minus 5. So that means that in this case, the function of x is 2x minus 5. In another function, the function of x is 3x plus 1. And in another function, the function of x is 4x. So that is 3 different functions. Y's relationship with x. Is that possible? Yes. You know, can I walk with your sister, your cousin, or your auntie? Isn't that 3 different relationships? Everybody understand that? You know, can walk with your wife and your daughter and your mother. 3 different relationships. So each interaction is going to be defined by that relationship. Understand me? So if me and my wife are cuss, maybe I cuss bad word, but if me and my mother are cuss, no bad word. And if me and my wife are cuss, maybe me walk out, but if me and my daughter are cuss, she depend punishment. Everybody understand? There's a difference in the relationship. So these the relationship are defined. So the first thing them ask us is to find f of g, which is a composite function. A composite function means that you start with your first function. What is my first function? Since. What's my first function for f of g? What's my first function for f of g? No, f. What's my first function for g of f? What's my first function for f of g of h? All right, so you start with your first function. What is my first function? So since f of x equals 2x minus 5, this implies that f of g is equal to 2, and anywhere that you see x, you know, put the entire function of g. Are you seeing that? So that is how you're going to combine the functions, by putting the total function of g for where x is in the function of f. Right? So what's the function of g? 3x plus 1? And then you go minus 5. This is equal to 6x plus 2 minus 5. This is equal to 6x minus 3. Everybody see that? How did I get minus 3? Because 2 plus minus 5, it's going to take the sign of the bigger number, minus, and then 5 minus 2, which is 3. Everybody see that? Remember that? When you are minusing a positive and a negative, see? 2 minus 5. You go on your number line, 0, 1, 2. This is your starting point. What's the direction of minus? Okay, and the direction of plus. So therefore, multiply and plus goes, and divide and minus goes. All right, so that means a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. So you start at 2, you move to 5 to the left, you get up a minus 3. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So therefore, if you have 2 minus 5, it is equal to the sign of the bigger number, which is negative 5, bracket 5 minus 2 is equal to minus 3. Everybody understand that? Good. Bam, 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 bam. So this is now f of g. So them ask me to find f of g2. So this is f of gx. So this is f of gx. So them say find f of g2. And that is going to be equal to 6 bracket 2 minus 3 equal to 8 minus 3 equal to 5. 12. You can't show. You don't know if I multiply my youth. 6 2 is 12. Which equal 9. I don't mean, Duffy take me over. Don't Duffy. Everybody see that? Oh, Lord. Oh, my love, my darling, I hunger for. Them say find g of f. So a while ago we find f of g. This is f of g. Now g of f, what do you start with? Since g of x is equal to 3x plus 1, it implies that g of f is equal to 3 bracket, what's f? Plus 1 equal to 6x minus 15 plus 1 equal to 6x minus 14. Everybody see that? Take the sign of the bigger one, then 15 minus 1. What's the sign of the bigger one? So 15 minus 1. See that? What do you want to find? G of f2. Now you realize that f of g is not the same as g of f? You realize that? F of g is 6x minus 3, g of f is 6x minus 14. So they want it to be g of f2. That means this is going to equal to 6 bracket 2 minus 14 equal 12 minus 14 equal, take the sign of the 14, 14 minus 12, 2. Everybody see that? What wrong with you, boy? What the X marks with? F of g of h. So this is a triple composite. Hey! F of g of h is equal to f of g bracket h. That's important because we already find f of g. So now that we find f of g, all we have to do is to now impose h. Now you have to look for these things in a CXC because they have a way of giving you one thing, and when you find that again, nobody go back and work that over again. Are you understanding that? So you just tell them, say, since f of g equals 6x minus 3, it implies that f of g of h equals to 6, I'm going to put in h. What's h? 4x minus 3. See that? It implies 24x minus 3 So the more f of g of h to the negative 1, therefore f of g of h x equal 24x minus 3. F of g of h to the minus 1 24 bracket minus 1 minus 3, eh? Yeah, 24 bracket minus 1 minus 3. It becomes negative 3 multiplied by minus 1. So it go equal minus 24 minus 3 equal minus 27. So that? Why didn't we go and say 24 minus 3 equal 21? Because it's too negative. You understand? The rule for when time you use the bigger one and minus is when one is positive and one is negative. Everybody understand that? The other one is h of g of f inverse. Notice the difference. This is bracket minus 1. This is inverse. So minus 1 is just a number now. This is, when you see it up to the top, it's to the inverse. H of g of f inverse. First thing we have to do is find h of g of f. Do we have h of g? No, so we have to find it. Whoops. I want you to find a natural girl that is mine. I want you to find. I want you to find. Black woman, we are hunt you. A natural girl that is mine. I'm searching to find. Whoa, h of g of f inverse. Finding h of g of f inverse. H of g, because h of g of f is h of g bracket f, right? So we go h of g. Finding h of g. Since h equal 4x, it implies that h of g equal 4 bracket 3x plus 1 equal 12x plus 4. Everybody see that? Therefore, h of g of f equals 12x, 12, what is g? What is f? Off of my mind. And baby, just the thought of you turn my whole world. Finding h of g of f inverse. Since h of g of f equal 24x minus 56, this implies that y equal 24x minus 56. This implies that x equal 24, y minus 56. This implies that 24y minus 56 equal x. 24y equal x plus 56. y equal x plus 56 over 24. Himself we find. Okay, that's it. They never give me no number. If then they give me a number and say 5, I will then have to put 5 in it. Huh? Can't simplify. Once this is x plus 56, you can't divide by the 24. You understand? Because the 24 must go into the sum of this which you don't know. Are you understanding that? Now, if it was 56 plus 56, you know the sum of it. But you wouldn't know it. Are you understanding? If it was x times 56 now, it would be 56x and they could have divided by 24. Are you understanding? Because this must have a single outcome for this to divide into it. Are you understanding that? So 56x is a single outcome, but x plus 56 is not a single outcome. It's an undefined outcome. Everybody understand the difference? Right. So if you have 4x over 2 is equal to 2x, so that's a single outcome. But if you have 4 plus x over 2 is not equal to 2 plus x. Because 4 plus x is not a single outcome. Are you understanding that? Good. How many say her? Next one. F of g, so this never say 5. So we're not going further. If it is a 5, you just put the 5 in the answer and then we'll go further. F inverse g. Woo! Grooving, my girl. Grooving, my girl. Hey, hey. I can see it in your. Girl, I love you, and I won't be shy. Now, F inverse G is different from FG inverse. So, F inverse G is not equal to FG inverse. In this case, the two of them must be composited and then find the inverse. In this case, you must find F inverse and then composite it. Are you seeing the difference? Everybody see the difference? Good. So, finding F inverse. Rah! Y equal 2x minus 5. This is y. X equal 2y minus 5. Two y minus 5 equal x. 2y equal to x plus 5. Y equal to x plus 5 over 2. I mean, say, what kind of world are we living in? What kind of world are we living in? Finding 7 fat girls to one simple dream. F inverse G. Since F inverse equal x plus 5 over 2, F inverse G equal, what is G again? 3x. So that means that this is 1x, you know that. So this is 1 bracket 3x plus 1 plus 5 over 2, which equal to 3x plus 1 plus 5 over 2, which equal to 3x plus 6 over 2. Everybody see that? Everybody understand that? Seven fat girl to 1 slim bridging. Someone can move on from this now. Can we get the feeling last week says someone who never understand. Everybody understand functions now? All right. 21 gun salute. No need to fuss. No need to fight. What kind of world are we living in? What kind of world are we living in? 7 fat girls to 1 slim brethren. 21 gun salute. On the school do plastic and them thing the separation and recycling. Which school that? You're gonna do recycling. A vector have 2 components. It have a distance and a direction. That is a very important lesson to learn. You and somebody can agree on half of the story, but not the total story. So enough time when you even see in a parliament and you see everybody a cuss, it is based on the fact that the idea is a vector. It have a direction and a distance. So who thinks a minimum wage should increase? All right. How much you think it will increase to? It does 17,000 now. How much it will go to? 20? How much you think it will go to? How much you think it will go to? How much you think? How much you think? 30. Now, therefore, there's a disagreement. She think it will go up. She think it will go up. So the whole owner agree upon the direction. But she have a different distance. She think it will be 30. Are you understanding? So therefore, every single idea have a distance and a direction. The first thing is, what is the direction? And then the next thing is, what is the distance? And there can be a disagreement on that. So I might think the school fee will go down, and you might think it will be 0. The two we agree say it will go down, because it will move from something to 0, but I might not think it should go down to 0. Everybody understand that? So that is the essence of a vector. Now, therefore, when we started out with a triangle, it never mattered if we said AB or BA, because AB and BA have the same distance. And when we work out area and perimeter and all of that, it was only based on the distance. Now that we go to vectors, you must therefore tell me what's the direction. Are you understanding? So therefore now in this case is B to A, which is different from A to B. Everybody understand that? And if you ever walk up a hill, you know so that is the truth. If you walk up the hill B to A, it's way harder than if you walk down the hill A to B. Same distance, but the direction now have something to do with it. Everybody understand that? All right. Now, let us look at some of the facts centering around a vector. My youth, you know, see this. Let us see. All right. If Susan walks 8 meters due east, how can we represent the vector quantity in a diagram? We first choose a suitable scale and then we move forward. So what is Susan doing? She's walking east. So you have to define that. North, south, we. So people always say north, south, east, west, and no fun to go right, east over here. So it is we. So we don't know north and south, but we, west and east. So it is north, south, west, east. That's the proper way to say it. Because if it is north, south, east, west, it have to be north, south, east, west. And often I gotta write it incorrectly. Everybody understand that? So where is she walking? Everybody see that? That means that her starting point, her ending point, everybody see that? And what was the distance? Them can ask if you draw that on a graph. Everybody understand that? You have to make sure, say, point A to point B. If she was walking 5 meters due north, everybody see that? Now what this remind you of? Now remind you of bearings. Because, of course, don't remind you of bearings. Because all the bearings do is add a degree. Because she can then move 5 meters due north and then move 6 meters due, that's going to be one now, southeast. And then now that become that. Are you understanding? What do you mean? We don't do bearing in the class here? Didn't we do bearings? Of course we did bearings. I did angle of elevation, angle of depression, and bearings. You never there? You need to there. Them all right. Them can lose. I'm gonna tell you something. And as much as champs are come and me go cheer. You see the star of KC? After I left KC in a business. Nobody run him down and say, yo, you're all right, or nothing. Most time the star at school, it's not the same star after school. Star after school is who have money. You understand? You think them call the person who used to run for school when at champs time? If you don't have money, and call one who was a nerd. Say, boy, you can't give 100,000 for champs. You understand? And the period in school is 7 years. So the man who can run is a star for 7 years. The period after school is 70 years. I prefer being a star after school. You understand? You got champs? Watch when I walk in. This is me a star. You understand? We used to win class 300 meter. Nobody remember them. Every KC man, dear man. So be a star after school. Ready now, but a KC I win champs, bigger news. A. Recompense. B. Kazam. C. Herbs. All right. Now, you have a thing we call a resultant vector. The resultant vector is the result, the final ending place, and the original starting place. If he moves from A to B is written that way. and then he moves from B to C. B to C is that way. In essence, the result is A to C. Because he started at A and ended at C. Are you understanding that? So move A to B and then B to C. What is the result? His start point and his end point from A to C. See that? How therefore do you find the resultant vector? You see that? Everybody see that? Good. So if he moves from A to D and then from B to C, is that a resultant vector? No. Because somewhere in B to D, he have to move from D to B. Are you understand that? So when he move from D to B, then he go from A to B, that's the resultant vector. And then he move from B to C, so he go A to C, and therefore the final resultant vector is A to C. Are you understanding that? Because he might have to go fly from D to B without a resultant vector. Everybody understand that? Cool. So let's use the first thing we just show you is that that's a resultant vector. But there's a law called the triangle law. If we need to buy sorry. All right. I can find the length of the resultant vector using the triangle law. Because if he moves A to B and then B to C, then the length of the resultant vector is A to C. Everybody see that? Everybody see that? Now we have a triangle. How would I know what this is? Angles on a straight line total 180. So if this a 30, that left 150, and if this a 45, that left 105. So this a 105. Are you understanding that? If this is angle B, then this is what? Because the angle form the line. The opposite to the line, not true? So that means that we have line B. Can we use sine rule? We can't use Pythagoras. How do we know we can't use Pythagoras? It's not a right angle, it's not a 90 degree. We can't use sine. You can use cosine. But we can't use sine. How we know we can't use sine? Because we need two of each. It have to be A over sine A equal B over sine B. And we don't have that. So we have to use cosine. What's the cosine rule? A squared. No, B squared more. B squared, A squared, C squared, 2AC cos B. That are the pound of paper. That means a B squared equal what's A squared. If this is angle A, that's 8 centimeters. 8 square plus 6 square minus 2 bracket 8 times 6 cos 105. I teach you that already, you know. B squared equals 64 plus 36 minus 6 8 48. 6 6 36. 6 7 42. 6 8 48. 6 8 equals 6 times 10 minus 2 equals 60 minus 12 equals 48. What's cos 105? What's cos 105? Equal this 100 minus 48 times negative 0.259. What? 48 times 0.259 have to be less than 48. 0.259. Huh? Minus 12.432. 100 plus 12.432. 423. Now, I'm just showing you this so you understand. Because negative times a negative, I give a positive. You understand? See that? Minus minus, I give a plus. Are you seeing that? Or you should write it from this, because 2 negative, give a positive. So b squared equal 112.4 square root that. Hmm? 10.6. You sure? B equal 10.6. All right, I'm going to do this one. Ah! Everybody understanding this? Huh? She's what? Oh, you give her the count? Oh, I'm sorry. Find the resultant vector. Find the resultant vector for those two. Boy, do the work. Oi, do the work. Mm-hmm. Um, you have to find it same resultant vector now BC. So you have to find BC. plus 9 minus 6 3 is 18 times 2, 36. Cos 110 or what? What? 0.342. X squared equal to 36 and 9, that are 45. This are minus 36 plus 36 times negative 36 times negative 0.342. 12 point something. 12 point what? So it turn plus. X squared equal at our 57.312. X equal the square root of 57.312. X equal 7 point what? 7.6. You're right. This are a plus because no minus and minus. Ah. Next. So A square equal B square plus C square minus 2 BC cos A. A square equal 12 square plus 8 square minus 2 bracket 12 times 8 cos 120. A square equal 144 plus 64 minus 12 eighths. 96 times 2, 192. 96 times 2, 192. Cos 120. 0.5. 144 plus 60, that are 204, 208. This times that are 190, 96 back. But that on plus. Minus. That on plus is negative 192, 1 negative 05. A square equal 208, so 296, 304. A equal the square root of 304. 17.4. All right. Break till party and then we do the rest.